10 years ago, May 22nd, 2011, a large and violent tornado would tear through the city of Joplin, leaving 158 people, plus 8 more, dead. The unimaginable horror the city of Joplin had to go through is too much to bear. Today, 10 years later, we will now see what made this tornado so powerful and so destructive. We will also see this tornado from when it formed and when it died, and see the heart-wrenching moments as this tornado tear through the city of Joplin. Chapter 1. Clear Skies. So what was life like in the city of Joplin before the tornado? Well, the city of Joplin had a population of 50,158 people in 2010 and was growing steadily. The city of Joplin also had the St. John's Regional Medical Center, which received the Healthgrades America's 100 Best Hospitals Award. The city of Joplin also had numerous buildings that have been listed on the National Register of Historical Places for their historical significance. Overall, the city of Joplin was a peaceful town. However, all of that was about to change. Chapter 2. The Weather Setup. May 21st, 2011, one day before the Joplin tornado tore through the city of Joplin. A low-pressure system that had already killed one person due to a tornado was moving eastward and was heading towards southern Minnesota. And on May 22nd, 2011, the day when the Joplin tornado occurred, the Storm Prediction Center issued a moderate risk from Wisconsin to Oklahoma, including the city of Joplin. And at 1:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, Tornado Watch number 325 was issued from Oklahoma to Missouri, with Joplin being right in the bullseye. The Storm Prediction Center said in their discussion that there was 3,000 to 5,000 MLK. MLK means storm energy. High amounts of MLK can cause severe storms. The Storm Prediction Center also said that there was wind shear of 35 to 40 knots. And the higher wind shear you have, the worse. However, if the wind shear is too high, then the wind shear would tear up the updrafts, making tornadoes nearly impossible to form. And finally, the Storm Prediction Center also said that there is SRH values of 150 to 250. SRH means Storm Relative Helicity. SRH is used to measure the potential for cyclonic updrafts. All of the ingredients was in place, and not long after that, the supercell that would produce the Joplin tornado would soon form. Chapter 3. The Start of a Nightmare. The supercell started to take shape in Labette County in southeastern Kansas. And not long after that, golf ball-sized hail was falling from the sky underneath the supercell. As the supercell moved eastward, the golf ball-sized hail was now the size of baseballs. However, to the south, another supercell exploded near Baxter Springs. This new supercell over Baxter Springs is the one that will produce the Joplin tornado. And the Baxter Springs supercell merged with the northern one. After a few radar scans, radar showed the northern cell starting to weaken. However, the southern one has gotten stronger and was starting to rotate. The rotation got tighter, and at 5:17 p.m., a tornado warning was issued. Not long after that, a hook echo was starting to form, and the sirens in the city of Joplin was going off for the second time in a row. And at the St. John's Regional Medical Center, a code gray was issued. Chapter 4. The Nightmare. At 5:34 p.m. Central Standard Time, near JJ Highway and Newton Road, the tornado started with several tendrils touching the ground and dissipating, and then touching back down again. Power flashes started to occur as it crossed through the power lines. After this crossing, the tornado did the unthinkable, and turned from an unorganized tornado to a wedge, nearly 25 seconds after touchdown. Less than a minute later, the tornado was around 3/4 of a mile wide. The tornado was starting to level its first homes east of Screwford-Decker Avenue, and leveled even more homes on Jefferson and South Monroe Avenue. Homes were also leveled on the intersection of West 26th Street and McClellan Boulevard. And on West 27th Street, a well-constructed brick office building was completely demolished. At 5:43 p.m. Central Standard Time, everyone at the National Weather Service was in shock. Debris was being lofted as high as 20,000 feet as pieces of buildings, vehicles, and items get sucked up and thrown. A debris ball was being shown on radar as the tornado tore through more buildings. Around this time, a security guard tells everyone in the St. John's Regional Medical Center to take cover. Around 1 to 2 minutes later, the tornado started to tear through the St. John's Regional Medical Center. In the tornado's 45 seconds of tearing through the St. John's Regional Medical Center, 300-pound parking spots that was rebarred to the asphalt was ripped up and thrown 60 yards. Vehicles were lofted and thrown several hundred yards. The parking lot was so badly damaged that the staff at St. John's Regional Medical Center could not find their vehicles, and a helicopter was blown off the helipad and was destroyed. The St. John's Regional Medical Center itself was badly damaged. Many interior walls, ceilings, and floors was destroyed and every single window was smashed. However, the nightmare has just begun. And after tearing through the St. John's Regional Medical Center, it tore through East McClellan Boulevard, where it reached peak intensity. Every single home that the tornado hit at this point was flattened. Blocks and blocks of homes was flattened and unrecognizable. Steel reinforced concrete porches was destroyed and deformed. Manhole covers that was over 100 pounds was ripped off the ground and thrown. Some manhole covers are even gone without a trace. On South Monfort Avenue, staff at the Greenbar nursing home was rushing to get the residents to a safe area. One such staff member was Keith Robinson. Keith Robinson used his own body to protect two residents, and shortly after the tornado started to hit the nursing home, the ceilings and walls started to cave in as the roof started to peel away. And after the tornado hit the nursing home, 21 out of the 100 people inside was killed. And sadly, Keith Robinson was also killed in the tornado. When he was found, his arms were still clutching the two residents he tried to protect. He was only 50 years old. The tornado then started to tear through 25th Street. Inside the St. Mary's Church, Father Justin Moham dove into the bathtub as the tornado began to tear through the church. The entire church was demolished in seconds. Father Justin Moham survived the tornado without injuries. His quick thinking saved his own life. The tornado then started to tear through the Irvin Elementary School, which was swept away. Since it was after school hours, no one was inside the school when the tornado hit. The tornado then tore through an area east of Main Street, and every single building in that area was destroyed and the majority of the homes was leveled. Inside a building on 2302 Iowa Avenue, Mark Lindquist and Ron Tackett was trying to help three developmentally disabled young men. When the tornado was getting closer, the two men picked up mattresses to put over the three young men. Mark Lindquist and Ron Tackett laid themselves on top of the mattress. Mark Lindquist and Ron Tackett was going to sacrifice themselves to protect the people they cared about. When the tornado hit, the roof was sucked off its walls and the entire home was swept away. Mark Lindquist was sucked into the tornado and thrown. Mark Lindquist somehow survived the tornado. Ryan Tackett was found with minor injuries. Sadly, the three young men they tried to protect, Mark Farmer, Trib Miller, and Rick Fox, passed away in the tornado. Homes along Missouri, Iowa, and Indiana avenues was completely destroyed and leveled. The Joplin High School was damaged beyond repair. Inside a Dillon's grocery store, workers rushed into a walk-in freezer and huddled just before the tornado ripped through the store. The Dillon's grocery store was damaged and even partially collapsed. The workers survived the tornado. The tornado then tore through Connecticut Avenue, and a bank was completely wiped off its foundation. The only thing left was a steel-reinforced vault, which was damaged. The tornado then tore through areas east of the bank, which buildings were decimated. The tornado remained at peak intensity as it tore through the Joplin's business section along South Range Line Road. Inside a Home Depot, Dean Wells had rushed more than a dozen people to shelter inside the store. When the tornado started to hit, Dean Wells sprinted to guide the last customers to safety. The Home Depot was completely destroyed, and sadly, while Dean Wells was guiding two children to safety, a large exterior wall collapsed on them, killing all three people. The tornado was still leveling well-constructed buildings and destroyed a lot more retail and industrial buildings, including the Pepsi Distribution Center, a sports academy, a Walmart, and several steam-framed warehouses. The steel-framed warehouses had anchoring pulled from the ground and steel beams twisted and bent. After the tornado tore through the Pepsi Distribution Center, the fields near the center was scoured and vehicles from the nearby parking lots was lofted several hundred yards. And even the tractor trailers from the Walmart was thrown several hundred yards. And a chair was found embedded legs first into the Academy sports building that came from a pizza place that was leveled. And after what seemed like an eternity, The tornado finally started to weaken as it crossed South Duquesne Road, where EF3 to EF4 damage occurred to buildings. The tornado then crossed Interstate 44, and on the interstate, vehicles was lofted and thrown. The tornado caused EF0 to EF2 damage after traveling several more miles. And then finally, at 6:12 p.m. Central Standard Time, after 38 minutes of terror and destruction, the tornado dissipated just east of the town of Diamond. Chapter 5: The Aftermath. In the end, 158 people died, including 8 indirect deaths. 1,158 people was also injured. The Joplin tornado is the costliest tornado in U.S. history, with $2.8 billion in damages, which is $3.18 billion in today's money. The tornado traveled 22.1 miles and had wind speeds of over 200 miles per hour, making this tornado a rare EF5. You will now see the damage this tornado caused to the city of Joplin and see how lives were changed forever. So many lives was changed forever, and the perseverance of the city of Joplin had was remarkable, and the amount of people willing to support the city of Joplin has really helped the city of Joplin recover. Speaking of recovering, we will now see what Joplin looks like today. Chapter 6: Recovery. Joplin has changed a lot since the Joplin tornado, and now we will see what changed since. The first thing that has changed is that the St. John's Regional Medical Center is now gone. Engineers has determined that the medical center was structurally unsound and was demolished. And built on top of the now demolished medical center was a memorial. It's called Mercy Park and it was placed right on top of the old hospital. It contains a statue of hands holding a cross. And the new hospital was built and it was called Mercy Hospital Joplin, and it was built to sustain an EF5 tornado. And in Cummington Park, right near where the park is now, was Ground Zero. This place was where the media gathered and what everyone saw. And now, the park is rebuilt. It has a playground and pool inside the park. However, memorials were created in the park. 161 trees were planted to honor the dead. A wristband was created to honor volunteers. A mosaic was created out of storm debris, and the park had steel framing in the shape of a building to represent damaged homes. A plaque was created to show every single person's name that died in the tornado. In Mercy's Chapel, there is the Stations of the Cross made out of the materials of the former St. John's Hospital. The walls and marble are also from the materials of the former St. John's. And embedded in the floor outside are fragments of the stained glass from the former St. John's Hospital. Joplin also has a lot of empty lots where the tornado path was. Even to this day, 90% of the buildings have at least an indoor or outdoor tornado shelter, and likely even more since the source was made in 2016. The Joplin High School was rebuilt, and in my opinion, it looks very modern. Surprisingly, there is also trees that have survived the Joplin tornado. 18,000 trees was destroyed in the city of Joplin, so there isn't many trees that you can see in Joplin. Also, in 15th and Main Street, a piece of public art is on the wall of a building showing Joplin before the tornado, during, and after. Chapter 7. In conclusion. In conclusion, the Joplin tornado, the people that died, and the people that supported Joplin will never be forgotten anytime soon. The tornado left damage that no one could ever begin to imagine. And now, 10 years later, May 22nd, 2021, the city of Joplin is even better than what it was before the tornado. The perseverance, courage, and hope that the city of Joplin had even after the tornado is something to be remembered. All of that occurred 10 years ago.